Hey yo, what is groovy? What is good? It's your boy Papa Capes, and we are back with another raid video. Yes, I'll put my hand up. I understand it's been a long time since I've last uploaded, but I'm not going to dive into that today. Life happens. It is what it is. Today, I want to talk about something I feel like I've recently almost figured out, and that is why my account progress feels uneven. Yes, some days it feels like I've made tons of progress and my account just feels absolutely phenomenal. And then other days, I feel stagnant. I feel disheartened looking at my account, thinking to myself, there's just so much that I can't do. There's so much that I think I should be able to do and still can't consistently do. The difference between beating a boss once and farming that boss. The difference between pulling a champion and kitting that champion out so that you can use them to their maximum potential. That's what I'm going to dive into today a little bit. So technically what I'm trying to say is that if your raid account progress feels uneven, you're not crazy, you're just dabbling a bit in the mid-game of raid. And one thing I've realized about raids mid-game, especially transitioning from early game into mid-game, is that there's no instructions, there's no clarity. There's no specific 1, 2, 3, 4 paths that you should follow. It is what you choose to make of it and how you choose to build your account. As we get into my champs here, just to let you know, although I haven't uploaded, there still hasn't been a day that I've missed playing raid. Since I picked it up, who knows how long ago now, maybe 9 months, I've still been playing the game consistently. Some days a bit more high effort than other days. However, there hasn't been a day that I've missed. Whether that means that I've been on for 15 minutes to 20 minutes just to do dailies, or whether that means I've been on for 4 to 5 hours, it differs based on the time that I've had available. So just to go through some of the newer champs that I've added to my roster since the last upload. I don't even know how long it's been since I've uploaded. But I mean, we've got Glakehead that we've added to the roster. We've got Padraig that we've added to the roster. Recently, we've been lucky enough to get Mithrala, which we've added to the roster. And then we've had Yakal as well, with consistent purchases from the clan shop. Modo of the Peel, Manaya, and Lysantha Beastbane. Let's talk about one specific legendary that goes hand in hand with what I'd like to discuss today, and that is Arbiter. Those of you all know what it takes to get Arbiter. Even if you have not yet gotten Arbiter, you know the journey it takes to get through to Arbiter, especially that last phase. Phase 4 out of 4, part 4 out of 4, whatever it is that you want to call it. It's a grind. It's a mad grind. And some of us tend to hyper-focus Arbiter because we know that she's an S-tier champion, right? She's a Void Lego, an entire team revive, a healer, speed booster, whatever you want to call it, speed aura. We think we know the value that Arbiter can bring to a roster. However, I'm going to be honest with you. As I've mentioned before, I still do not use Arbiter. I use it in live arena as bait. Yes, you heard me right, as bait. I literally put it in first, so hopefully opponent will ban them so that I've got my standard arena team of Artur, Ugo, Galek, Supreme Galek, and Mikey. That's who I use. And as you can see, my Arbiter speed is chilling at 227. My Artur speed is almost at 300. So this is just one of those examples of where the day that I finished the Arbiter missions and I actually was able to get her and pull her into my champion roster, it felt phenomenal. It felt that I've been rewarded for that progress. It felt that I've been rewarded for the grind. However, what I had predicted was nowhere near reality. I thought Arbiter, knowing that she's an account-changing champion, was going to come into my roster and literally just change the way I do things. Gonna change my live arena, gonna change my classic arena, gonna contribute to my Doom Tower damage, gonna contribute to my clan boss damage. I do not use Arbiter in any of that content as yet. So just to dive into some of the content I mentioned, we consistently 1 key Nightmare to get the ultimate chest, and then we also consistently 2 key Ultra Nightmare to get the Transcendent chest. And the team that we use, as you can see on screen, is Glakehead, Rected Wrath, Mikey, Geomancer, and Venomage. Another video that's coming soon is going to be highlighting Glakehead and Padraig, as these two homies have been the MVPs of my account. If I go back 2 to 3 months, they've literally impacted my account in the best way possible. What I'd like to highlight about Clan Boss, right, is that as you gradually make your way through the difficulties in Demon Lord per se, every single time you make progress in damage, and then you're able to one key to get the main chest. That's immediate progress. That's immediate satisfaction. That's a dopamine hint that validates the grind that you put in. And you gradually go through normal and hard and brutal. And everybody aims at being able to one key Ultra Nightmare, right? I can't do that yet, but I can two key Ultra Nightmare. So now the next goal for me is to one key Ultra Nightmare. As you progress through the early game, a lot of the content's like this. Short bursts of instant dopamine hits because you're able to make that progress. However, as you gradually go into the mid-game, instead of it being in short bursts, it becomes bursty. Let me explain. Now, instead of multiple wins and multiple things that happen that make me feel proud and make me feel stimulated and make me feel engaged and make me feel excited and happy about the visible progress I can see on my account, there's dry spells. So now I find myself having longer periods when nothing happens in raid. I still play every single day. I still diligently focus on certain things that I'd like to achieve with my account, but there's longer periods of where it feels as if nothing happens. Then all of a sudden, there's the sudden jump, an accomplishment. Like for example, I recently finally got Mathrala. Boom, I know that she's going to be epic in my account when I figure out where I need to use her, how I'm going to gear her, how to fit her into my current roster, and my existing starter teams, let's call it that for lack of a better term. That in its own is a mid-game challenge where early game you're just wishing and hoping and I need this champ, I need that champ, I need that champ. Not even thinking about where your account's at with the gear that you have within your resources, quote unquote. All you think about is the champions that you hope you pull, but you don't know if you've got the gear that will allow for you to use that champion to the best of your ability, right? And then I also touched on the ability to beat certain bosses and then the ability to farm those bosses. Now, as you go through the early game, it's so easy. And I say that understanding the journey, but it's so easy to get to a place to, like, for example, where you're taking out 25 dragon. When I say easy, granted, I understand the early game struggle. I'm not negating that or neglecting that or naive to it. It took a long time to be able to get through normal dragon. However, once you do, it's easy. But let's say, for example, the first time I got to stage 20 of dragon, I beat it once or twice. The difficulty was being able to farm dragon 20. Being able to farm it consistently in auto. That then just segues perfectly into exactly what I've recently figured out, is that early game provides you with so many hints of progress and hits of dopamine and satisfying victories and wins because of the content that you're able to not do consistently, but just complete because that's the goal you set and that's the success that you found when you conquered that goal. Then comes the question as you go into the mid game, consistently farming said content that was previously your goal. Now your goal is not just to beat dragon. Now it's to farm it consistently because you want to place in tournaments, because you want to place in events, because you want to min-max as much as you possibly can in terms of investment. Let's call it ROI, right? So to sum that all up, currently I understand that raid no longer rewards me every single day. I use the term reward intentionally. I still enjoy the game. I still play it every single day because I'm working towards these rewards, right? As you make your way from early game to mid game, which I can comfortably say, I used to have this question like, when does the mid game start? When does the end game start? When does the early game end? I feel like I'm comfortably in the mid game right now. As you enter the mid game, you need to come to terms with the fact that there's no longer a reward every day, but the rewards start to come in bursts. The next thing I want to touch on to is RNG in raid. RNG messes with your head, period. The most obvious example of RNG are your shards. You can be lucky. I recently, one of my mates pulled his first mythical on the first primal shard that he opened on his account. That's crazy. He literally opened his first primal, and within his first primal, he got a mythical. Boom. There's an example of RNG messing with my head. What I've learned over, let's say 9 to 10 months that I've been playing right now, is that you get lucky pulls, 100%. We all know this, but the majority of your experience is filled with dry streaks. And then words like mercy come to mind. Words like, do I even open in 2 times? Because 2 times all I'm doing is paying rare tax on ancient shards. It just messes with you. Another place that we can talk about RNG is in your gear, right? Let's say you're at a place where you're farming Hydra and you eventually starting to get stone skin gear and protection gear. You're looking for speed boots. And I mean, as you can see, you're opening these boots, defense percentage boots. And this symbol represents that I've already tried to rework it. Same here, defense percentage boots. I've already tried to rework it. Now keep in mind, yes, okay, cool. You are able to get speed boots, luck of the draw, but I'm just talking about the RNG element. There are weeks where as I made my way from the early game into the mid game, all I wanted was one set of speed boots to complete a build for somebody. Whether that speed boot needed to be in perception, whether it needed to be in bolster, whether it needed to be in instinct or protection, or whatever gear set it needed to be in. I went through spells of weeks where speed boots were nothing but a myth. And then lastly, another thing that ties in perfectly with RNG is glyphs. Glyphing your gear. You find the right piece of gear, then you want to start glyphing it. And especially for, I think it's Romanto missions, or even Marius missions, you need to max out a couple of glyphs on your gear. Not only from my experience, but other people that I speak to, especially within my clan and whatnot, about that mission, or just about getting the most out of your glyphs. Homies have gone through hundreds of glyphs without being able to max out the glyph. And I mean, this is crazy if you think about it, but it all comes down to RNG messing with your head. It's not just the results, but it's also how it makes you feel. One lucky shard pool can feel like you've made weeks of progress, but bad luck makes you feel like you're stuck. I'm not saying that's right. I'm speaking from my experience, and it's happened to me. And this is that factor of RNG messing with your head. One lucky pull on an ancient shard, let's say on a +1 legendary event, and you pull a Lego and you get a +1 Lego. That's 2 legendaries for one ancient shard. All of a sudden, you feel like you've made weeks of progress in those 20 seconds. But then when your luck runs out, all of a sudden, you feel as if you're stuck on your account. The next thing I want to talk about what I recently figured out as a raid player: invisible walls within raid. When I mention invisible walls, I'm talking about silver, I'm talking about books, I'm talking about masteries, I'm talking about your potions, so resources within the game. I thoroughly enjoy doing tournaments, I thoroughly enjoy doing events. However, let's say CVC, for example, you know for a fact, okay, cool, you want to go to the next tier within your personal reward CVC. You need books. Look at my books, because I literally recently, I used everything I had within the CVC. And now I'm trying to rebuild those books. But this is an invisible wall, because not only does the book prevent you from getting to the next tier in your personal reward CVC, if that's your goal, but it also gatekeeps you behind getting your champion to an optimal place where they hit the hardest, or where they defend the highest, or where they're as fast as they can be, or just getting the most out of your champion. These are the invisible walls that I'm speaking about, things that gatekeep you. Then there's also gear. Now, not only for gear tournaments or gear enhancement events, but also just to get the most out of your champion. I'm at a place where I 100% understand that a great champion is absolutely shocking without great gear. I would almost say gear is more important than the champion's kit. But let's not get into that debate. If you want me to, comment down below. That could be an interesting debate for another video. But silver can gatekeep you. That's why it falls part of this invisible wall section. Not only in the tournaments, not only in the events, but just you found the perfect gear set now, but you have no silver to upgrade it. You've got no gear to sell for silver. You've got no accessories to sell for silver. You bought all silver in your clan shop. What do you do now? Farm 12-3. Do you have energy? Yes? Maybe no. Another way that you just gate-kept in that sense. More things that tie into this is champion masteries, right? I just got Matrala. I have not a single mastery on her. But let me go down to my MVPs, people that I use in consistent content. Rectus fully mastered. Otto fully mastered. Galex fully mastered. Mikey's fully mastered. These are people, Fatman's fully mastered. These are people that I've had for a longer period of time and I've used for a longer time on my account. But somebody like Arbiter comes through. Okay, I spent gems on her masteries, but let's use Matrala. Super excited to get Matrala. You get those fragments every single time a Hydra rotation passes. You get excited to get her, and boom, no masteries. Does that mean I'm stuck? No. I always used to think yes, but no, I'm just being gatekept, and that's an important thing to start to understand as you progress into the mid game within raid. And then another one that I'm not going to touch on too much, but you get ascensions, right? If you don't have potions, you can't ascend your champion. These potions need to be farmed on specific days, sometimes more than once. For example, Force Keep opens twice, Magic Keep opens twice. You guys know the drill. But it's a Void champion. It only opens on a Sunday. But now, what if I have gems? Then I pay 200 gems to open the Void Keep. Or what if I don't have gems? I need to wait until Sunday. What if I've got plans on Sunday? I'm not going to rant on about it. The aim is just to point out the fact that these are all things that form invisible walls that gatekeep your progress. I want to highlight the fact that what I understand now is that I'm not stuck, I'm just gatekept. No books makes you feel like the champion is useless. No silver definitely can't upgrade your gear. No masteries, damage doesn't just feel as good as it would with full masteries. Here's the most important thing, and what I'm actually proud to have learned. Raid isn't stopping me. Raid isn't gatekeeping me. My resources are. Mid-game in Raid is confusing. There's so many things to do. And keep in mind, I'm at a place now where I understand a little bit about Raid, right? However, there's still so much I need to do. I need to do Arena. I need to do Daily Quests. I need to do Live Arena. I need to do Doom Tower. I need to do Siege. I need to do Curse City. I need to do Grim Forest. I need to do Clan Boss. I need to make sure that my clan activities are 3 stars. It can get overwhelming once you get into the mid-game because of the amount of content that is now accessible to you. The worst part about getting to mid-game is that there's so much content that you now have access to, but you feel like there's too little resource to engage optimally within that content. Mistakes now cost more than ever. Once you're still in the early game, mistakes are fine. Mistakes are cool, you learn from that mistakes, and you can make it up within an hour or 2. However, in the mid-game, you make any mistakes, you waste a legendary book, you waste some potions, you waste these things, and you waste silver on a bad gear that didn't roll the way you wanted it to. It takes a lot longer to make back those resources. So technically, mistakes tend to cost a lot more in the mid-game. I understand that this might sound like the mid-game is harder. Whether that's true or not is not what I want to focus on. What I want to highlight is that to me, mid-game just feels a bit less clear. You need to be a lot more disciplined when you set the direction that you want to go to. You need to be a lot more realistic with your goals that you directly link to progress, that is automatically linked to stimulation, that'll make you continue playing the game day in and day out. I've decided to reframe my mindset recently. And when I say recently, this is about as recent as anywhere between 2 and 6 weeks. Now, what's important about this reframe is understanding, right, that progress as you get into the mid-game, maybe at the end part of early game, as you're about to transition into mid-game, progress isn't daily. Something that I've learned to understand. What do I mean by saying that progress isn't daily? Some days, maybe even some weeks, are directly linked to you setting up. Purely just setting up. Whatever setup means to you depends on your account. Whether you're stacking up on resources for a certain fusion, whether you know that you've checked the calendar, there's a 2-time shard pool coming in, or a gear enhancement event, or a champ training event. You spend days, sometimes weeks, on setting up for these events. That is saving silver, stacking up on energy, that is ensuring that you've got gems, that you're doing whatever daily quests you get for gems. So I usually buy the gem pack, the daily gem pack on my account. Currently, I don't have it, so I find myself every single day doing what I can do to get those free gems. Not every day is set up. You go through the phases where some days are set up, some weeks are set up, but then you also get to a place where some days are payoff, whether it's because of the RNG we touched on earlier, or whether it's because your setup days are now done and you've just completed that fusion. That is a payoff. You've just taken first in that champion training event that's maybe got a guaranteed champion or whatever the case may be. That's payoff, right? And that's what you need to understand, or that's what I've learned. Sorry, I don't want to tell you what you need to understand. That's what I've started to understand about my approach and my mindset towards Raid. What I want to stress and what I want to emphasize is that for a long time, I got aggravated and frustrated internally at how uneven my progress felt, at how some days just felt so much better than other days. But I'm here to tell you what I've learned, and that is, if your progress feels uneven, it probably means you're actually playing Raid the right way. What that means is different from player to player, from account to account. What that means for me is that some days are setup, some days are payoffs, some days it's stagnation, because there's still something I need to learn about how I'm gearing my champs. Maybe it means something drastic, like taking all my gear off all of my champs. Granted, I'll save presets, but taking all my gear off of all of my champs, because I've been using the same champs for a long time. Taking them off, scratching everything I've got built, and rebuilding champs from the ground up based on the content I'm struggling with at that moment, or just setting a goal to one key clan boss, and just instead of needing to fiddle with the filters, like just to challenge myself to kit. Now that I've learned a lot more about how to play Raid, I should be able to better equip and better gear my champions. So maybe that's something I need to do. Extreme, granted, but this is just an example of what I'm thinking. So yeah, I don't want to rant on about this too much, but what I do want to know is for you to let me know where you're at currently with your account progression. Does your account feel like this right now, where some days are huge W's and other days are like, I'm just going to close the game, not in the mood for the struggle today. Whereabout do you find yourself? Are you early game? Are you mid game? Are you end game? Do you spend? Are you free to play? What's the vibes like, yo? I'm genuinely interested. One of the biggest reasons I'd like to do this consistently is to engage with you all out there, to bounce ideas off of one another, to bounce builds off of one another. I've recently even reorganized my Discord, and I've got a raid channel, a raid section, and a clan section. Not going to touch on this too much because I'm going to make a video about this as well. But I'm trying to move my clan from just a clan on raid to a more social clan, to a more engaging clan, to a clan where people can constantly bounce things off of one another. And it's just vibes, you know what I'm saying? But if you do find yourself in a similar position as me, like what feels stuck for you? For me personally, it's hyping up getting certain champions, but not even doing my due diligence to figure out, will I be able to use this champion to the best of their ability? I am now going to start treating Raid as a resource management game, as opposed to just whatever it is I've been treating it as up until now. I open shards when I shouldn't open shards. I upgrade gear when I shouldn't upgrade gear. And then every time something happens where I need X amount of resources, I don't have it, and I get irritated with myself because I just lack discipline. So I'm going to take a more disciplined approach, going to treat it as a resource management game. And I'm not going to I blame my kids. I literally have a 4-year-old son and a 9-year-old daughter. And I've made it a thing where if I've got shards, they open it for me. And then they get the hypeness, they get the vibes. They're like, oh, Dad, it's purple. Dad, it's gold, it's gold. So far, my ladies pulled the Lego. My daughter's pulled the Lego. And my son has pulled a Lego. So all of us have pulled the Legos, and we've gotten a hit of that amazing dopamine feeling knowing that your odds were low, but you managed to do it. And I just blame them. Capes, why don't you have shards? Are you going for this event? Nah, guys, I don't have the resources. How do you not have the resources? My kids wanted to open shards. No longer an excuse that is going to work. Happiness is a choice. Kindness is free. Leave your mark, yo. Peace out.